about. You can all join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
And I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. The palms down. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Intro to Buddhism and Meditation at the Dharma Bum Temple. Thank you all for being here, or being there, wherever you are. Oh, Being There, great movie. In case you've never seen it, it's an old 1970-something Peter Sellers cult classic. Chauncey the Gardener. I consider one of the best Buddhist movies out there, as far as, what happens if you just kind of stay present and be with things as they are. And it's kind of funny too. So in case any of you have a little extra time on your hands right now and you're kind of sitting at home and need something to do, if you haven't seen Being There, check it out. It's pretty good. Yeah, I said to somebody earlier, they were asking about the temple, and they'd never been here, didn't really know what it was, and so they had this idea that it was kind of this, place that just you hug everybody and everyone's all calm and quiet and peaceful and happy, and you can have that kind of stuff, but I explained that for me the practice is really not about any of that warm fuzzy stuff, but it's actually about cutting through all our crap. And I said to this person, I said, yeah, all we really do is just, at least all I do when I try to lead is I really just try to call people out on exploring their own craziness. And, often we come looking for answers, and we want things to be fixed, and we want to feel better, and we want to be told everything's going to be okay. And that's not always the way it is. It's not reality. Reality is life is filled with lots of pain and lots of suffering. And reality is we often cause lots of pain and lots of suffering. We cause pain in ourselves, we cause pain in others, and we've been hurt by others as well. And so this is closer to the reality that we live in. And to me, this practice has been exploring how and why we cause pain in ourselves and others, and how we respond when people do things that cause pain in us. And the only way you can do that, I think, and what I've really learned from this practice, is to really just use the teachings as a way to almost be like a reflection or a mirror, where it just points everything back at you. And it says, what is my role in this situation? What is my responsibility in this situation? What is the pain I'm causing in this situation? And I think it's about being honest with yourself and your practice and where you're at. And a lot of times we don't want to do that, because that's painful, that's scary. It forces us to really challenge ourselves in how we are and who we are and how we can change. So I've never seen Buddhism as a gentle path and practice. I've never seen it as an easy thing. I've never approached Buddhism as the way to make me feel better. So if you are joining for the first time, welcome. And, that's, to me, my approach. I don't use Buddhism to feel better. It's a way to explore why you don't feel good and then actually make changes in your life to where you feel better. But all the meditations, all the readings, all the talks, those in of themselves don't make you feel better unless you actually change things about yourself. And when you begin to change things, then you start to feel better and you cause less pain, less harm to self, and less pain and less harm to others. So continue to practice daily because it's not easy. I think we'll just get started with the meditation practice. For those of you who are here for the first time, again, welcome. A couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you, right? You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice, meaning don't ask yourself, is this working? Is it not working? You're doing it right, you're doing it wrong. We're just going to sit, we're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds wherever you are. If you're at home, if you're at work, if you're in your car, wherever you're sitting right now, there's going to be sounds around you. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And the practice of meditation is learning to get quiet and still within all the chaos. Most important, don't expect anything. All right? We're just going to sit and breathe. Posture, if you're on a cushion, often it helps slide into the front third. Pushing the stomach forward allows the back to straighten slightly. Shoulders are relaxed. Hands can be on the knees or in the lap, whatever's comfortable for you. Eyes will be closed if comfortable. Mouth will be open or closed. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important, don't expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And again, starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. And breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it, release that thought, return attention, focus to the breath. Where's your mind? Lost in thought. Return to breath. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments. Simply sitting breathing. Keeping the mind alert, aware of each sound, each thought, each physical sensation. Yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. With the body still, rested, the speech, quiet, aware of all sounds. The mind, learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. And most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. And ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind. Whatever you're sitting with at this moment has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit and hold the hands across the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awaken. He was a human being, no different than anyone else. He began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. And what that means for all of us, regardless of where we come from or what we believe in and where we think we're going, our whole life is filled with things that happen. We react. More stuff happens. More reactions. That's it. This practice is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your days. So all we're working on is closing the gap where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, focused, clear, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. This practice is not easy. It's not necessarily fun, but it's a free practice. It's sitting, breathing, learning to be kind to yourself and everybody else you encounter every moment of your life. Once we stop trying to change, fix, control, manipulate everything around us, and we work on changing our mind and our reaction to the world around us, life gets simpler. But it's not easy. And that's why it's called a practice. It's not a 6-week course. It's not a quick fix. It's not a couple books and all of a sudden you're done. It's going through each day and learning to appreciate each moment as it arises and not getting too attached to anyone or anything as we go through each moment. Doesn't mean you don't love, doesn't mean you don't care. It just means you're present with things as they are. To give full attention in every moment to whatever arises and to be present with it. To me, that's the practice. Knowing that we'll face challenges and difficulties and lots of things will happen we don't agree with. But can we stay steady and calm through it? Can we be of service to others? Can we help others? Can we be kind to ourselves? Regardless of what's happening around us. Regardless of what past experiences we've had. Or do we allow all the past experiences to carry on with us and live with us today and hold us back from things that we could be doing going forward? That's where the meditation practice is so critical, because it trains your mind and teaches you to stay present, not to carry every story from the past into this moment. If you spend your whole life pondering and wondering about the past and second guessing and feeling guilty or throwing blame, then you miss opportunities to really appreciate and enjoy each moment as it is. And it's really not even about enjoying each moment as it is, it's about being with each moment as it is. You know I use the word enjoy and it sounds more pleasant. And we all like pleasant. But be with things as they are. Some are pleasant, some are unpleasant, some are neutral. And this practice, to me, helps us wake up to what's actually going on. Not wrapped up in how we wish it was or how we want it to be or how it actually is. And the question always comes up, well, then what about making change, changing yourself and changing others? Of course. Recognize your own levels of greed, anger, ignorance, and practice more generosity, compassion, and wisdom. Don't just recognize greed, anger, ignorance, and leave it at that. Work to change those things, transform those things, cultivate those feelings of compassion and generosity and wisdom. You see the world around you, you don't like it, make change. Well, then work towards making change. Don't just see the world around you, point fingers, and throw blame and do nothing about it. Make this a living, real practice and way of life. So I think I'd rather stop there, and I always prefer really just to respond to questions. We'll open up to meditation, Buddhist practice, any questions you might have. If you're new or new to YouTube, there's a chat box on your screen. Just go ahead and type the message there or the question there. Travis will read it and share it, and I'll respond. So we'll take some time now to, for the rest of the time, to open up to questions. my favorite time where so many of you are so uncomfortable right now. Not that I'm happy you're uncomfortable, but just try to throw that in there. It's that time where, like, you're waiting for that first person who's going to start it and ask the question. And none of you are even here. I mean, you're all sitting at home or wherever you are. And yet, many of you are uncomfortable because there's that silence. And it's really interesting to explore that, why that makes you uncomfortable. I don't have an answer for you, but it's good to explore why, at home or wherever you are, in a situation like this and there's silence, why do you get so nervous? Why do you get so anxious? Why do you get so uncomfortable? Is it possibly because the things happening are different from what you expect them or perceive them to be? Or you feel that something is supposed to be happening when in reality, a billion things just happened. In those 3 minutes of silence or whatever it was, so many things happened. But one might sit there thinking, well, nothing's happening. Nobody's asking a question. Lots is happening. So, questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything on your mind? We get to repeat the discomfort, making it easy on me. I can continue to make stuff up all night.
Daniel asked, could you please explain the importance of making vows?
Yeah, it's a good question. The importance of making vows, I find them incredibly important. There are, as there are with all Buddhist kind of questions or teachings, as they say, 80,000 different ways to explain them, but there are many different ways to respond to the question around vows. And I think for me, I'll just explain from a very personal experience that vows early on within Buddhism, to me, became very important. And it really started with the first time I took refuge. And to touch on that just briefly, taking refuge in the Triple Gem, which is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Buddha being the bodhicitta or Buddha nature that is within all of us, not that we're praising somebody, in a godlike manner, but simply that we find refuge, safety, comfort, protection in the idea of awakening, that the Buddha was human just like we are, and if he could figure out how to awaken and end suffering, so can we. The second one is the Dharma, that's the path, that's the teachings. And the third one is the Sangha, and that's the community of people that come together to practice. So for me, it was 2003, and the first time that I took refuge in the Triple Gem, and it was discussed that you are taking these as vows, that you are vowing to find safety, comfort, protection in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And that was important to me. Now, it didn't mean it always worked. And then you go through a series of precepts, and you take, say, the first 5 precepts, and you vow to refrain from lying, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and intoxicants. And then you go on to take a number of bodhisattva precepts, 37 precepts. And you vow to do all of these things. I remember one night, Dharma Bum Life program, our president, Ken St. Pierre, we had just taken the 5 precepts. And without writing him out right here, even though I've already given the name and brought it off the 5 precepts, we took the 5 precepts one night. He showed up 2 nights later, and he shared that within the last 48 hours, he already broke all 5 vows, all five precepts. But the importance was that the intention is there. And the vow to not do these things is important. I know that my master used to talk about when we do things that harm self or harm others, the first thing we do is to recognize what we've done was not in accord or in line with the teachings, with the Dharma. The second is to apologize if appropriate to that person, or apologize to somebody else, whatever is appropriate. And the third one is to then vow to not do the same thing again. And so I find in vows that you're really holding yourself accountable. And I think that's really important. You're holding yourself accountable to behave a certain way, to live with a sense of moral and ethical behavior that creates a harmonious world for those around you. And so whether vows are tied to Buddhist teachings, whether vows are just very general as far as I vow to be kind. You don't have to be Buddhist to vow to be kind. You don't have to be Buddhist to vow to not harm others. You don't have to be Buddhist to vow to live an honest, moral, ethical life. But the vows are really important. And I learned in each school of Buddhism and each teaching is, different schools are different countries approach it differently, different masters approach it differently. But I learned that once you vow to be on this path, that you are always on this path. That once your consciousness embraces Buddhist teachings and you come in contact with the Buddhist teachings, that stays in your consciousness for endless time. And those vows continue to reinforce that. I've made countless vows that I have then failed to uphold. And then I continue to vow again, to work harder and be more diligent at upholding those vows. Now, when I don't or have not, I don't then hate myself and think I'm a terrible person and give myself lots of shame. I recognize, as I alluded to earlier, what I've done was not in line with the teachings, apologize if appropriate, and vow to do it again, or to not do it again. And then you might do it again. So vowing doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. But we all know we've set our mind on something. I mean, think of New Year's resolutions. This is the year you're going to do this. That lasts for anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 months. And then it's gone and you're waiting for the next year to start all over again. So I think of vows and intentions very in a very similar manner. But for me, something about vows within Buddhist practice is very much heartfelt and mind-felt. And I take them very seriously. I think they're very important. And I think it's important that when you vow to do something, that you're honest with yourself about it. And to vow to do things that you're maybe not ready to do, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. Because you may make vows to do certain things that you just can't do yet, but you're still having the intention of someday being able to do or not do whatever the vow is. So I think of vows as also ways of cutting through habitual patterns and behaviors, toxic behaviors, toxic thoughts. Then there's the ultimate, the Bodhisattva vow. Bodhisattva means enlightened being. And the Bodhisattva vow is to be reborn life after life until all beings are free from suffering. So I think, to me as a practitioner, the Bodhisattva vow is, that's what it's all about. That I loved what Makeda said years ago. If you don't know Makeda Dredd, the founder, heart of the World Beat Sangha, World Beat Center, which also hosts the World Beat Sangha. You've heard this expressed many ways at different times, but something about the way she said it. She was giving a talk to, I think it was Dharma Bum Life program, or maybe the college kids, and she said, none of us are free until all of us are free. And to me, that's in many ways what the Bodhisattva vow is about, that none of us are free from suffering until all of us are free from suffering. So hopefully that's helpful, Daniel. Other questions?
Carlos would like to know how tranquility is achieved.
How tranquility is achieved? I think questions like this I tend to answer in a very similar manner. But let's say anger, for example. You overcome anger with compassion. Well, if I want to get rid of anger, I can't spend all my time focusing on anger. You have to cultivate compassion. That's what helps you cut through anger. But you have to recognize, where is the anger coming from? What are your thoughts? What are your words? What are your actions that are leading you to anger? So, in the same way, if you look at the cultivation or how do you achieve tranquility, you have to begin to understand what is stopping you from achieving tranquility. Right? You don't achieve tranquility by reading 8 books on tranquility or listening to me describe what tranquility is. You achieve tranquility by understanding what is making you feel whatever is the opposite of tranquility. Figure that out. If it's anger, if it's sadness, if it's frustration, if it's annoyance, if it's whatever it is, whatever you're feeling that is keeping you from feeling tranquil, explore those and understand what is at the root of those. And if those go away, then you'll feel tranquil. But you don't get tranquil by being focused on how do I get to ultimate tranquility. It's, to me, a great Buddhist metaphor that talks about bodhicitta, or Buddha nature, that we are all already awakened. And the metaphor is the sun on a cloudy day. So you have a cloudy day, you have no ability to see the sun. But the sun is still there. And when the clouds part, when the greed and the anger and the ignorance, as the Buddha called them, the second noble truth, which is 3 poisons, when the greed and the anger and the ignorance go away, then you have the sun again. So tranquility to you is the sun. You got to figure out what the clouds are. And that's really what I was talking about at the beginning, that this practice requires you to look honestly at yourself and explore your greed, your anger, and your ignorance, or your delusions. When you explore that honestly and deeply, then clouds part, tranquility will be seen, because it's already there. You don't chase it. You don't go get it. You don't buy it. You already have it. You just need to wake up to it. So, hope that's helpful. Other questions? The last thing I'll say on tranquility, the word this word, I knew there was a word escaping me, but earlier, disturbed. So to me, the opposite of tranquility is kind of being disturbed. And when you're not really deeply rooted in some sort of spiritual practice, you're going to be disturbed a lot. And when you're not willing to really explore the nature of your own mind, you're going to be disturbed a lot. The beauty of this is when you explore the nature of your own mind, you're going to be disturbed a lot. And then you begin to recognize the impermanence of all of that your mind is ever changing. So understand why you're disturbed, and you'll figure out how to awaken to tranquility. Other questions? We'll do one more question if you want, otherwise we'll close. All right, so we'll join palms. As we close, may the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. So a few quick announcements before you all head out wherever you're going, which is probably nowhere. Thanks all for being here and joining us. I appreciate it. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma Bum. We opened 14 years ago, initially downtown with the Dharma Bum Temple, to introduce Buddhist practice and meditation to local folks. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, we're not nuns, we're not gurus, we're not masters, we're not teachers. We're just practitioners. So we do our best to take our understanding of Buddhist teachings and put it into terms that hopefully make sense to those who show up. Every night we have different practices going on led by different people. Tuesday nights, I do the intro to Buddhism. Wednesday, Alex does the loving kindness, the metta meditation practice. And Thursdays, Travis does Dharma Bum basics and meditation. Those are all on YouTube. Everything else is on Zoom. Since being closed March 12th, we've moved now just about our entire schedule, minus a couple classes, to online. If you go to the website, thedharmabums.org, and click on the schedule, you'll see everything there. All our recovery groups, all our teen groups, our college groups, our family groups, everything's happening as usual. So the talk from Thanissaro Bhikkhu, that was sent out, but it'll get sent out again. If you did try to join that last week and didn't log on quick enough, we apologize. We didn't realize we'd have over 100 people. And our Zoom only allows 100 people because we're not going to spend the money for more. So I ended up kicking it on to YouTube as well. So we'll send out the recording. That was put on the Facebook group, I think, and then we'll put it out in the newsletter. So other than that, if I never see you again, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. For me, that's really the heart of this practice. So good luck, be kind, stay home, wear a mask, be safe, and let's do our best to keep people alive. Thank you.